It's almost Christmas, and if there's something in Mario Kart that slightly resembles Christmas, it's snow levels. Unless you're in the southern hemisphere, in that case I don't know what to tell you. There's a lot of snow tracks to rank, however, I need to lay some ground rules. No Mario Kart Tour exclusive stages, and no arcade titles, as I either haven't played them or I don't have a way to record them. And the SNES remakes from Super Circuit are off the table, as they're exactly the same as the SNES counterparts, but worse in every way, and I don't want to go through the hell of unlocking them. But anyways, let's just rank these chronologically and see how they evolve over the years. Vanilla Lake is our first stop, and I am already not a fan. Super Mario Kart is just really bad in general, and most tracks are equally as bad. One is just a round slippery circle with blocks in the middle of the road, which obliterate the speed you once had. And two is somehow even worse. You drive in a slippery circle with blocks, but this time with no guardrails, so you're either going to hug the wall or hug the icy slow water. One gets a D, and two gets the F. Mario Kart 64, like its predecessor, has two snow-themed level tracks, the first one being Frappe Snowland, a winter wonderland with a jump snowmen and this tunnel-esque segment. It's pretty fun to drive around here. There's some snow which you can go through with mushrooms, although I don't like the fact that everything kind of looks the same. And this final part of the track is a really anticlimactic way of finishing things. These snowmen are very difficult to drive around, but props for not being drawn out and frustrating, which is something I can't say about Sherbet Land. This one has long drawn out straightaways and spades, and the penguins that walk around the ice have a better aim than a missile drone strike. And it's even worse in the cave, as there is even more penguins, and this entire track is Slip City. Frappe gets to go to C while Sherbet goes to Z. Snowland, aside from having the most original title in history, is actually a really pretty fun track, and has some nice shortcuts. The ice effect has been toned down. Some obstacles are now easy to avoid, but not too easy. There's some well-placed boost panels and a pleasant theme. So why is this track in C? Well, somehow, some way, someone decided that the filter that this track should be given to simulate the cold is to shake the camera up and down constantly until you decide to throw your guts out. Now, it's not that noticeable when you're looking at the footage alone, but when you play the game, it's absolute murder on your eyes, which is a shame because I really liked where this track was going. If only there was a way to fix this. Double Dash, the golden child that claims to be the best one from the series, except for those ones. And if we base our argument exclusively on their repertoire of snow-themed tracks, Double Dash doesn't stand much of a chance. It's not bad, but definitely nothing to write home about. In fact, if Snowland didn't have earthquakes 24/7, I'd confidently say that that would be the better track out of the two. GCN goes back to the extreme ice physics Super and 64 suffered from, and adds even more obstacles like ice skating Shy Guys, freezes, and pockets of ice water. I like this tunnel section and how the track looks, but that's all I can say about this track. Just mediocre. C tier. DK Pass is a pretty forgettable track, and definitely not the first track you'd think of in Mario Kart DS. It doesn't hold a candle to the big dogs, but it's alright. You drive from the bottom of the mountain and cross a tunnel, some winding turns, and falling snowballs that can knock you down, and then you descend the mountain and get to jump off the track and finally avoid some snowmen. B tier. And Frappe Snowland gets a faithful remake, which doesn't really expand upon much, but due to this game's infinitely better controls, it's going up to B tier. DK Snowboard Cross is a masterpiece of a track. Mario Kart Wii's claim to fame is its trick system, which revolutionised how tracks can be designed in a lunatic manner, without breaking the game and staying true to Mario Kart. And DK Snowboard Cross as a whole gets to enjoy these enhancements. Firstly, the setting is really cool. The ski resort is a very crazy setting, and we get to start at the top and make our way down there. We get to drive down the mountain, or you can use the half pipes to get airspeed and height and descend the mountain. You get to go through some ramp and trick off mounts, and near the end avoid some snowboarding Shy Guys. This track is just pure adrenaline, and I love it. And on the other hand, we have a faithful recreation of N64 Sherbet Land, which I didn't care about it then, nor do I care about it now. DK goes in S tier, and Sherbet Land goes to D. Rosalina's Ice World is just meh. It just feels like someone plopped Mario Galaxy assets onto the stage haphazardly, named it after Rosalina and called it a day. But there is plenty of things you could do here. You drive primarily in this pseudo half-pipe section, and choose if you want to drive on top of the glaciers or under them. And for a 3DS, these are some good graphics. And finally end things in the caves where you have to look out for incoming stalagmites. I don't hate this, but there's this certain blandness to it. It has to go on C. DK Pass also gets a remake, and I basically said everything that needed to be said there. B tier. S tier. Enough said. Okay, now let's elaborate on things. You have yet to start your kart, and I'm already incredibly impressed. So you pull an Uncharted and drop off a massive military aeroplane into the summit of a mountain, and then you start descending it. And then you enter a massive ice cavern where you have to go down a river and clear big jumps. Then you raid a dam and drive right through it with the help of anti-gravity. Then you have to maneuver through a giant forested area. And the very final lap, you drive through another ski resort, and the music goes insane in this section. Take a listen. And our final hazard is this huge ski drop where you can glide to the finish line. This might be the actual best track to ever exist in Mario Kart. It's one of the very few non-looped tracks where you can go ham with the level design, and it came out brilliantly. Thanks, Wario. GCN Sherbet land is here, and while it's nowhere near close to Mount Wario in quality, it's a pretty big improvement from its original incarnation. Visually, it's a huge step up from the GCN version, and you have a significant increase in alternate paths. You can be underwater or over the surface, though these paths have the incredible advantage of being obscure enough for a blue shell not to find you. Almost every obstacle from the GCN version is brought back, and their ice physics from the OG version have almost completely vanished. And one of the final things this track does better is the music. It fits the track like a glove, and there isn't really any downsides. But yeah, that's it. I guess B tier. Ice Outpost is one of the most divisive tracks in the entire franchise. You either love it for its difficulty, amazing art style and graphics, and its world building shown in the background, as you can see some toads explore the equivalent of the South Pole for the Mario universe. And of course, its track design. Or you can absolutely despise it for being boring and unfair. If you do hate it, sorry man, I've got to tell you this straight up. You have an efficiency deficiency. You drive on these two intertwining roads, which eventually become kind of loopy. This track is infamous for its shortcuts, as they are some of the most difficult to execute in the entire game. It's a very unforgiving track, but if you do master it, it's really rewarding. I like this. B tier. Animal Crossing is the only seasonal track in this game, and one of its variations is a winter-themed track, and it's a very quaint track. It's just a jolly romp through an island, seemingly celebrating Christmas. It's a really faithful adaptation from an Animal Crossing island if it was designed to be raced in. Now, hot take, I don't like playing Animal Crossing, but I dig this track. For a lack of a better term, this track exudes vibes. A tier. Well, would you look at that? Everything I said there is true here, but this time it won't give you a seizure. And yeah, that's enough for it to be an A tier. Merry Mountain is good, but Arlo putting it in the highest tier is just insane. Like, no, that's unreal behavior. Also, what is his least favorite track?
Oh my goodness!
Esto ya se puso personal. D. Merry Mountain is boring, dude. What if DK Mountain was trash? This is probably your result. This track is style over substance. I feel nothing playing this, and the Christmas theme can only get me so far to entertain me. By the way, I just have to make myself clear, this is all a joke. Anyways, so go sub to Arlo right now. DK Snowboard Cross didn't need any changes to be better, and Mario Kart 8 delivers. Every auto shortcut here is possible as well, and the half pipes are even more fun to take. That's all it takes to be an S tier. Vancouver Velocity is the only snowy city track in the game, therefore making it one of the most unique ones, and it being based on a true city at least makes it more interesting to me. Some landmarks include the Capillinus Snow Bridge, the Rogers Arena, the George Macy Tunnel, and the Lost Lagoon. The level design in this track is fire, and it feels very fast and fluid. A tier. And our final track is the remake of Rosalina's Ice World, which got some interesting additions like a true half-pipe in this shortcut near the end of the track, but aside from that, you have the potential of creating some of the most insane jumps in the game. B tier. Alright, I'll just recap every course from worst to best. Number 21, Vanilla Lake 2 is the only truly awful course thanks to its terrible ice physics, the lake itself, and the stupid blocks ruining everything. Number 20, Vanilla Lake 1 was slightly less frustrating, meaning it can stay one spot over the bottom of the list. Number 19 goes to Sherbet Land. It's just as boring as hell track, and I can say the same for its Wii remake, which goes in number 18. Number 17 goes to Merry Mountain. Number 16 starts C tier with Snowland. Number 15 goes to Frappe Snowland. Number 14 goes to GCN Sherbet Land, and number 13 goes to Rosalina's Ice World. B tier begins with the Mario Kart 8 version of Rosalina's Ice World in number 12. Number 11 goes to Ice Outpost, and the top 10 begins with the DS version of Frappe Snowland, transitioning into number 9, Mario Kart 8's version of Snowland. Number 8 goes to DK Pass, and number 7 goes to Mario Kart 7's version of DK Pass. Number 6 goes to Mario Kart 8's version of Sherbet Land. A tier is composed of exclusively number 5, Vancouver Velocity, and number 4, the winter variation of Animal Crossing. And finally, S tier begins here with number 3, DK Snowboard Cross, and number 2 goes to Mario Kart 8's version of DK Snowboard Cross. And the glorious number 1 is awarded to Mount Wario, one of the best tracks to ever exist. This will be most likely the very final video of the year, and if that's the case, I hope you a fantastic Christmas and a happy new year. But anyways, I'ma head out.